Hopkins versus Shumenov conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, there will be an opportunity for questions and comments. Instructions will be given at that time. As a reminder, this conference call is being recorded. I would now like to turn the conference call over to Kelly Swanson. Kelly, please go ahead.
Thank you, operator. Thanks, everyone, for calling in. Really, this week has been jam-packed with information about the April 19th showdown at the Capitol. Yesterday we did a conference call with the undercard fighters, and now we have our main event fighters available today to talk to the press. I'm very excited about it. And on the phone is Bernard Hopkins, the IBF light heavyweight world champion, certainly future Hall of Fame first-time balloter, along with Hopkins Shumenov, who is the WBA and IBA light heavyweight world champion. I think it's going to be a super-duper fight, a unification bout for that matter. But to go ahead and talk a little bit more about the fight and its particulars, as well as to introduce the fighters, I'd like to introduce Bruce Binkow, the Chief Operating Officer and Marketing Officer of Golden Boy Promotions. Bruce?
Thanks, Kelly. Hi, everyone. Thanks for making it onto the call. We're very, very excited about this one, and I personally can't wait, as I know a lot of you can't. It's a great triple header. It's called History at the Capitol. As Kelly mentioned, the main event is outstanding. Hopkins versus Shumenov. The co-main, Sean Porter and Paulie Malignaggi, is a fight that a lot of people want to see. And the telecast will open with Peter Kid Chocolate Quillen versus Lucas Konechny. It's going to be a great night. It's, again, Saturday, April 19th at the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C., promoted by Golden Boy Promotions and brought to you by Corona, AT&T, and Casamigos Tequila. The telecast will be on Showtime Championship Boxing beginning at 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific time. And there are tickets still available, starting at just $20. The tickets can be had at Master.com, all Ticketmaster locations. The DC Armory box office is open on fight night only, starting at 3 p.m. So without further ado, let's get right to the main event. I'd like to start by introducing to you all Hopkins Shumenov. Shumenov is 14-1 with 9 KOs. He's a native of Shymkent, Kazakhstan, fights now out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He was a 2004 Olympian for his home country, and what's amazing about Hopkins, aside from his talent, is that he made his way up the ranks of the light heavyweight division with amazing speed. His first title he won in 2009 in just his 8th professional fight. And then he added, soon thereafter, his WBA title in 2010. Since 2010, he's successfully defended his title 5 times. So this April 19th, he's going to get a shot at the big one, which is the legend, Bernard Hopkins, and Shumenov is hoping to etch his name in history with a victory on the 19th. So with that, Hopkins, if you'd like to make an opening comment before we open it up for questions, ladies and gentlemen, Hopkins Shumenov.
Hello everyone. I'm very excited. That I'm fighting with Bernard Hopkins, one of the greatest fighters and legend, future Hall of Famer. So everything has been great. I'm at the final stage of my preparation camp, so everything is great.
Great.
Just looking forward to show all my capabilities on April 19th in Washington, D.C.
Okay, perfect. Now I'd like to introduce a man that needs no introduction. As a matter of fact, you almost run out of things to say about Bernard. If you're on this conference call, you know everything there is to know about Bernard Hopkins, so I'm not going to recite all of the amazing stats and the history and the triumphs that this man has experienced and given us through his performances in the ring. But I will just say something that we talked about when we were on our press conferences, is that I truly believe that what Bernard is doing, the level in which he's competing as a professional athlete in one of the toughest sports that there is at this point in his life, is nothing short of remarkable. And if it was any other sport, I think that he would be getting a lot more mainstream media attention. And it's my mission to make sure that people experience the joy of watching Bernard do his thing before he finally hangs it up, whenever that's going to be. He's been called the Executioner, more recently the Alien. I'd like to introduce to you Bernard the Alien Hopkins. Bernard?
Thank you, Bruce, and thanks to all the sponsors and everybody that's have a hand in promoting this triple hitter coming up in Washington D.C. Any of those three fights could easily be main events on any night. So that's the bang for a buck. If you can tell me that something else can match that in a 3 championship fight, so I'm looking forward to be the main event on that, and also make a statement like I've done many times before. I'm used to this type of dance, and I'm just hoping that people will tune in, whether they're there personally or at home, and check it out and witness the 3 major championship fights on the same card, which is not done often in boxing. Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bernard. Okay, now we'll open it up for questions. Let's go ahead, operator.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. This will place your question in the order it was received. Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad now. Our first question comes from Dan Raphael with ESPN.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I would like to start with a question for you, Beirut. When I look at your record, it's like Bruce was saying in the introductions. You moved extremely quickly in your early fights. You moved real quick. You won a world title in just a handful of fights. But I'm wondering, there's a gap in there where you were off for like about a year when you had the title from mid 2011 to mid 2012, and then another long layoff until you fought the fight where you won against Kovac in December after you had signed with Golden Boy. Can you talk about what the reason was for those 2 lengthy layoffs, and was that by your design, or was it just problems getting fights, or you weren't signed with a promoter, or what was going on there?
Just at that time I was self-promoting myself, and we tried to make a fight against Cleverly, but it didn't happen, and then we tried to make a unification title fight against Chad Dawson. Again, we didn't get any success. So I couldn't get any those big names, and I couldn't get to all those big networks. That's why I got stuck and I couldn't do anything.
So was it a matter of when you came to make your deal with Golden Boy that they outlined a plan where they said, hey, we'll get you in the ring, we'll give you a fight? It turned out to be the Kovac fight, and then after that, we'll get you that big fight with Bernard Hopkins. Was that what they?
No. They didn't mention any Bernard, but I told them that to my manager, Mr. Al Heyman, and then to Richard Schaefer, that I want to fight with the best. And it's my goal to unify all the championship belts. So I want to fight with all those champions.
Okay, now my other question then for you is this. After this fight between yourself and Bernard was made, Showtime went out there and they signed Adonis Stevenson. I know you and Bernard have world titles in this weight class. He has a world title. Most people consider him to be the true champion because of the lineage of the way that the titles changed hands. And now everybody's talking about him perhaps fighting Bernard Hopkins if he wins against you and if Stevenson wins his fight in May. I'm wondering, does that offend you that no one says, what about Shumenov against Stevenson? Because they're sort of overlooking you, I guess, a little bit against Bernard Hopkins. What are your thoughts about that?
It's kind of like I said, my main goal is to unify all the titles, and it's just like I'm not thinking ahead. I'm only focus on my upcoming fight against Bernard Hopkins. And what they say, it kind of motivates me more. So they're not talking about it. They're already talking about Bernard facing Adonis Stevenson. It motivates me more. It makes me train even harder. It makes me be a better fighter.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Thank you for your answers. Hello, Bernard.
Yes, how you doing, Dan?
I'm doing very good. I'm wondering, from your point of view, is here you are at age 49 with more than 60 professional fights, and now you're taking on a guy with, I believe, 15 professional fights. He'll be in 16 professional fights. I mean, you probably have, cups that are older than the length of his career. What are your thoughts about fighting a guy that, in the professional ranks anyway, because he was a very good amateur, obviously, fighting a guy with so few fights compared to the legendary resume that you've compiled over your 20-plus year career?
Well, I definitely don't match anybody I've fought the last 5 or 6 fights, and I can even go some years, but I just want to keep it simple with 5 or 6 fights, my last fights. No one else came close to when you look at paper and you look at the experience. We all know that because, I've been around longer in modern history of the last 20 years, successfully. But if you look at Shumenov, you look at Shumenov's record, and you can be blinded and misled by that. To give you some type of blueprint, what to say if you're not thinking multiple ways, thinking one way, then you'll think what you see. But I'm smart enough to understand that when a guy has a pedigree of an amateur record, as far as I'm concerned, 80% of people that fight amateurs with 100-something fights that come out of there is basically pros. They just ain't got their license yet. And, that's a big debate in amateur boxing right now. But, so when you add that, Dan, then you add the fights you got on this pro record, to me, that record is definitely a dark horse if you're looking at it in a way of, you only have this, you only have that. I'm not a fool. I'm very wise in this game. And I understand that when you have a pedigree and goes deep in Olympics for his country, Pakistan, is something that he understands, the big stage. He's been around the championship level without even having a title at the time. So I'm not underestimating him. I'm in a position right now where I haven't been in many years, and that is people overlooking my opponent. They overlook Bernard Hopkins, even with titles. I mean, I got record to prove. But at the same time, I know what that can do to a guy. It can motivate a guy, and it also can put pressure on the guy. And that's the blessing, and that's the education that I come from both sides. I'm still around to understand how he feels and how he has to be motivated, what motivates him. And that's dealing with the IQ, and that's dealing with the experience, and that's the luxury that I have in the game today amongst anybody I fight, whether it's Shumenov, whether it's Stevenson, or whoever you name. It doesn't matter, because I've been here longer than any boxer that's boxing right now in a respectful level and position, and I think that's an honor. I think it's a blessing.
All right, thank you, Bernard. I have another question for you then you mentioned Stevenson in your last answer. It seems to me that for the first time in several years, there's a game plan for your future. Most of the time, Bernard, you've had your fight, and no one really knew what your next fight was going to be or what the plan was, and you kind of had to look around, and maybe that was partly what led to some of the layoffs, and then you got tied up with some rematches and whatever. But for the first time, it seems very obvious to most people that if you're the winner on April 19th, that your next fight is going to be against Adonis Stevenson later in the year. If he wins this fight on May 24th, that's why Showtime brought him on board. I would like your opinion about that aspect of sort of knowing that you have an even bigger fight perhaps in the future if everything goes good for you in April, and also your thoughts about Stevenson making that jump because he's won at you certainly much more than he's won at Kovalev.
Well, first of all, it's good for both of us. It's good for both guys, myself and Shumenov, because we go on April 19th in D.C. on Showtime, and what you just said is going to be mentioned by the commentators, and leading up to the fight is going to be mentioned. So, is out there. I mean, like you said, it was out there when Stevenson came on board to unify the title on this end. And of course, about with Network, he'd be fighting his next fight in May. So all these things, there's basically a win-win for the fans of boxing, because at the end of the day, no matter which side of the street you're on, west side, north side, east side, southwest, doesn't make no difference. People want to see one guy who even has the title as the man to beat the man. When you're a fighter, you want all the major belts that someone else is carrying. Now, tell you how much I'm a dinosaur in the game. I've been here before. If anybody have any short memories that's listening, 2001, post 9/11, New York City. So I have a track record of having an itch to prove if I have to have all 3 full belts. Forget what writer or anybody say who's the best in this division, who's the best man to beat the man. That is true, I agree. But at the end of the day, we fighters, I speak for Shumenov, he can speak for himself. At the end of the day, Stevenson made it clear he wants to fight other champions, myself, and anybody else. And as far as I'm concerned, the belts that people care about is the main 3 belts that people really know about and care about. Any 4th or 5th belt is just extra gravy if you want to put some more on your bread. The bottom line is we reach April 19th. We're going to do what we got to do. The winner be the winner, and we move forward. And I'm looking to be the winner, and I'm looking to make history. And the most historic place on this map in this United States is D.C. What better place to make history is in D.C. at the Capitol?
Exactly. I appreciate
well,
that.
The National Armory, right?
All right. Thank you very much for that, Bernard. Thank you, Beirut. Look forward to seeing you guys get it on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Our next question comes from Jenna J. with On the Ropes Boxing.
Hi, my first question is for Beirut Shumenov. Beirut, Bernard, I mean, not enough can be said exactly about his accomplishments. He's 49 years old, but when you look at him, why do you think he's been able to have success as long as he's had?
It's truly amazing. It's unbelievable. It's incredible. I don't think so. In the past or in the future, anybody could do same what Bernard does.
All right, now, Beirut, when you're fighting someone like him that has the accolades he does, do you have any fear that if this fight goes to the cards that, because of his reputation, the decision will go in his favor and not yours?
Right, but I since my December fight, since before the fight, a lot of people started asking about the potential our fight between us, and then right after the fight, Bernard got in the ring, and I got the feeling that the fight would happen in the near future. And right after the fight, I started watching his fight, studying him. So I developed like a style against Bernard Hopkins. And I'm preparing to win each round clearly, to give no doubt for judges, anybody.
All right. Thank you for answering my questions, Beirut. My next question is for Bernard. Bernard, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. You said 2001 against Felix Trinidad. It's been a very long time since you've had a unifying title fight. Why has it been so long?
Well, you got to ask boxing. I mean, you're asking me a question. If I had a crystal ball, every division be unified to one champion. I mean, past, through the politics. But I mean, you're asking a question that I think that me and you both asked me. You're allowed to ask anything you want, but I mean that's self-explanatory. But I'm glad I'm the one that continue to make history, that continue to get something to scratch your head about, and that's my main objective. I have my own agenda, and trust me, and that agenda is to one day be a long conversation about where do they put Bernard Hopkins, because we can't just put him with all of the other historic legend boxers before the time of boxing was thrown as one punch ever in boxing. So I want to make y'all have a really hard time, well, whether you're here or not, whoever in the future, have a real hard time figuring out where to put this alien at. I got to do the work now for them to be able to do that later. That's the thing. You work now, you enjoy later. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, Bernard, for the third straight fight, you're listed again as the betting favorite. Does that change your views going into the scene? You always like being the underdog. You're the favorite.
That's shocking. That doesn't. But I don't. Listen. I always say. I know you might look at this as not being a boxing question, but I was born in 1965 in this great country. And anybody know history of 1965? I was an underdog when I was born in this country. You know what I mean? Compared to my ancestors. So when you say underdog, I got the mentality that I'm always going to be underdog. I don't look for no favors or no helps. I go and do what I got to do. And that's why one of the reasons I'm here so long is not because of one specific thing that keeps me motivated. I mean, I'd have been long gone if it was that. If I, wanted to just get a house and have some money in the bank, I've been gone 15 years ago. Do the math. It's 2014. You know how many great fights I had in the last 15 plus years, 15 years back? So, I'm glad you said it, but it doesn't move me one or the other. It's not, I don't care. Well, I was hoping that Shumenov would be the underdog because I know how he feels when people don't give a person a chance. Trust me. I've been through that, understand that, but I accepted that, and you know what? I'd rather have it that way. So I flip it in my mind that he's the favorite. I'm a 10-1 favorite from April 19th in D.C. I'm a 10-1. He's a 10-1 favorite over me in D.C. April 19th. That's how I train. That's how I think. I don't look for no favors from nobody because I never got none. I never received none. Look at my career. You've been around for a couple of years. It's not hard.
Okay. All right. Well, final question.
Joe Gunzz, Jermaine Teller. I can name 4 more if you want. So I don't look for. I don't look at who's doing that or whatever. I don't mind me. That's for the book. It's not me.
Yeah. Well, my final question for you is that I recently talked to your trainer, Nazim Richardson. He said ultimately, when it comes down to it, Bernard is going to get tired playing of all these titles. He's going to collect them all. He's want to give them back to all the rest of the guys. Do you kind of see it that way? That the only way you will ultimately leave this game is throughout your own volition, giving up those titles, not having them taken from you?
Absolutely. Me and Nazim, he's an old man. Been around me for 20-something years. He's been the second trainer at one time with Bowie Fischer, the first trainer. So he understands, and he understands how I think, and he understands what I let him understand, what I'm on, what kind of mission that I feel I'm on. We communicate. So I couldn't be as accurate as he said. But my whole thing is, as Babe Ruth said, he wanted to unify the titles. I'm answering that call because I want to do the same damn thing. And now we got pieces in line that has the same mentality. It gives you something to write about. It gives the fans and anybody that's listening that's coming on after you, it gives them a chance now to say, we're unifying the title in the division. Maybe become a good disease, a good virus that might spread through other weight divisions. And that would be good, I think, for boxing. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Bernard, for answering my questions. And also thank you again, Babe.
Thank you.
Once again, if you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please press *1 on your telephone keypad.
Your hand is raised. Please ask your question when prompted. Press the # sign to lower your hand.
On your telephone keypad now. Our next question comes from Lem Satterfield with RingTV.com.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi Lem, how are you?
Hey, great. My first question is for you. You said that you've diligently studied Bernard's fights and truly focused on them since December. What I wanted to ask you is, are there any fights you've seen, for example, his last fight with Murat, or probably one of the biggest fights of his, recent career with Kelly Pavlik, for example, where you were able to learn from those fights? As you know, Kelly Pavlik was pretty much never the same after that fight, even though Bernard tried to give him a post-fight lift-up speech, and looked at those fights and said, that's not going to happen to me.
My apologies, but I cannot discuss the knowledge that I know.
about Bernard and all the studyings. I cannot discuss the knowledge, and I developed the styles. I picked the styles. I've been perfecting my style against Bernard Hopkins, and I'm at the final stage of my preparation, so people will get to see my capabilities. But I cannot discuss anything that I know about Bernard.
Okay. Well, without giving away specifics, I mean, can you talk about what he did to, say, Kelly Pavlik, what he did to emerge victorious from a scouting?
I cannot discuss anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You know, you can keep it under your hat. Bernard, I got a couple questions for you.
Yes.
Hey, Bernard, the first thing, what you referred to the 3 belts. Which ones do you consider the most significant, and what's your rationale for that?
WBC, WBA, IBF.
Okay, and what's your, I think I know what it is, but...
I put in those orders because what was the first belt the fighters had right there? It was the first belt, WBC, then the ring, okay, the ring, but then the word WBC, then it was the WBA, and Larry Holmes brought in the IBF. Am I correct?
Yep.
All right, that's history. And then, again, these are the things that I don't have no problem telling you how I feel, whatever, because whatever I tell you that you want to hear doesn't necessarily mean it has to be my strategy. See, The Art of War is one of my favorite books and videos and things I look, because you ask me a question, see the difference between Bernard Hopkins and Babe Ruth, and that's his own style. It don't make him bad or good. It's just to make the way he thinks. See, I'm not under any situation. You ask me a question, well, what do you see in Babe Ruth that you can do to expose? Well, I can tell you anything. Doesn't necessarily mean it's true. I just might just want him to hear. And these are the things of The Art of War. He understands what The Art of War means. You understand? Because at the end of the day, right, no matter what I tell you, it's what happens in that ring. And I don't believe, and I'm being modest with the belief part, but I've been in this game almost 3 decades, and there's no style through the amateurs, short amateur career I ain't have 100 fights. I ain't have 50 fights. But the short amateur career I had, that and the one in state penitentiary, is that there's no style. I repeat, there's no style on this planet Earth dealing with boxing that I haven't seen or been in the ring with. That covers anything that's going to come. Any questions after that? It's nothing I haven't seen that I've been in this game for 26, 27 years that's going to surprise me April 19th. And that's not underestimating nobody. That's not overlooking. That's just keeping it real. By the time I've been in this game, and by the time I've been a student, and still consider a student, but a little edge of a teacher in this game that I'm in.
Yeah, that brings me to another question. You know, he said that he's going to respect you and fight a respectable fight, i.e., if it gets down and dirty.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, let me explain.
That's to me.
Basically, what he meant was
you can respect the. I'm a fighter, respectful. A fight is a fight. I mean, I'm a fighter, respectable fight. I mean, I don't know what that means. Ask him. I don't know. Did you say that?
Here's what he said. He said, if it gets dirty, I asked him specifically about the Murat fight.
Oh, now I get.
He said he won't go there. He'll just. He said he'll let the referee take care of it. Does that give you any kind of a peek? Do you see read anything into that, or?
I don't know where this dirty stuff come from. I mean, you. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, you listen. What I just say is, man, listen. The referee, Morgan, or whoever referee is for this fight, they told me 2 days ago, whatever. But the thing is this, man. I don't get into all that. What's going to be. Only thing I know, in 2 weeks or less, man, we're going to be doing what we got to do, man. It ain't my job to fix about. Listen, what a man can do to me, I can do to him. See, I never had a big brother. I am the big brother of 6 siblings. So I never had a big brother look over me in case something happened, not happen. Now I let my talent speak for itself. I let my history speak for itself. I let the last 5 or 6 fights, 5 or 6, 17 years speak for themselves. So when people start talking stuff, man, in their head and thinking about that, I don't know. If they try to get me in their conversation about that, it doesn't make no difference to me. We're going to fight. And if somebody do something they ain't supposed to do, you got checks and balances. That would check that. Ain't my job. I can't be a fighter and a referee. I mean, I wouldn't bring that up to you. That to me, that's irrelevant. It's ridiculous. I mean, and if he said it or you said it or whoever said it, that's not the point. The point is that you got a guy in there. That's the reason he's in there. And the bottom line is, I'm going to come across and bring my talent to where at a level where people are going to be talking about something else. And they're going to be excited and they're going to look forward for what comes next. And that's how I feel. And that's how I'm training and that's how I live.
Okay, Bernard, I got one question. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. You spoke of being born 1965, I guess. You were 3 years old 46 years ago today when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And I guess I would like to ask you if you would express your thoughts and the significance of this day and his legacy from your point of view.
It really, in a major way, man, speaks for itself, man. Because I was born at a change in America, but I also was born to establish my history through the checks and balances, through the struggles, and through to save how people perceive other people. And a lot been done, and a lot still need to be done. Never be perfect. But at the end of the day, man, I just say this, man. When I step in any challenge and I step in any era or any feelings, I think about history and when I was born and people that came before me. It puts me in a situation to do what I do hard when sometimes, you want to rest when you know you got to work. I mean, that's just how I feel, man. You know what I mean? And that's one thing. That's one thing that me and Big Boo have an understanding that we both agree. Allah is Akbar. And when you have that mentality, we both might not be right when it's all over. After this fight is over, because I really believe that. And that means Allah is God. And I really believe that, and that's in my soul. And I'm here not only because of my talent. I'm no fool. I'm here because I have not only angels watching over me, but a bigger being that got me through things that I know that wasn't my doing. It couldn't have been my doing, not even having the best lawyer. It couldn't have been my doing. This was something beyond that. And this what comes in the spirit when I go to fight. If he has that same spirit, if he don't have that same spirit, but got the title of that, he's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Okay. Babu, did you want to express anything about that? You heard what I asked about Martin Luther King?
I'm gonna just be silent.
Okay. Thank you guys very much. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Ooh.
Thank you, Lynn.
Our next question comes from Tim Smith with The Ring magazine.
Hey, Bernard, how are you? I'm good. Hey, I just wanted to ask, are you energized again by the prospect? I mean, you've been at the game for a long time, but does it energize you, the prospect of being a unified champion again? And I mean, it looks like all the pieces are in place for that to happen.
Yes, it gives me a lot more energized than my last two fights. But those last two fights played a role to get energized, and that's to be here. And so, to me, this ain't the climax. This is the pre-climax. And so far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean, it's where I need to be and where I had to go through to get here in the last year or two, to be patient, to fight my mandatory, to show people to get that out of there, get out of the way. You know, I wanted to be Kovalov, but they chose to fight Cleveland. Smart move, good management. And now we're here. And I'm looking to show the world that I might be the second or the first boxer in any division that became undisputed in two weight classes in modern time. And I stand to be corrected, but I figure I put it out there so somebody can research, and I know y'all get back to me. But I love history, and I love trying to break records that's been set for multiple years, because I believe I have a history of doing that. And this is energizing too. This is also adding to what you said, being energized. Yes.
Okay. And also, on a historical side, and this may be, so bear with me, this may be sort of a bizarre question, but you have spent the large majority of your career basically trying to exert the rights of the boxer and, making the boxer, the primary focus of this game. And now it looks like, that boxers are sort of getting on top. I mean, it looks like boxers are becoming more prominent with regard to the way that the business is being handled and that things are being done. And I'm wondering, whether you sit back and you sort of notice, that boxers are sort of being on top now a little bit more, having more decision and more say on the business side, and whether that makes you proud of the things that you've done in the past and the fight and the struggles that you've gone through and the battles that you fought to try to assert your rights as a boxer.
Well, I'm always proud when you have your fellow man that's tired of being ignorant and wants to get the red light district type of mentality label off their back. I'm always excited when you see change in bigger fights, better fights, and also knowing your business. I mean, I think knowing your business gives you an advantage, not at a disadvantage. And you have to do what you have to do. But everybody will want to drink from the clear cup, the clear glass of water. Everybody, you can't take and say this is blue because somebody would debate it's green. So I understand that, and it's cool. But for those who wants to get out of that cloud and wants to do different, this generation, next generation, to come in the future, is great. And if I played a part of it, somebody remind me of what I've done and to encourage them in history, and it goes down, will become a full-blown positive thing in the future, then yeah, I would love to be saying I'm glad I said something, I'm glad I stood up, or I'm glad I fought hard in the ring, and I'm glad I did this, I'm glad I did that. But it's all the reason why I'm here. Is Ali had his purpose. Jim Brown had his purpose. Satchel Paige had his purpose. So many people had their purpose in their time, and I'm those people in this time. Love me or hate me, I went against the grain when it needed to be, and I compromised in a respectful way when it needed to be. And I think that's what leadership is about. But, April 19th, it starts another chapter. And this other chapter is very important because I'm 49 years old. And I'm showing that I'm 49 years old and competing and winning because of what I've done in the past. And I'm taking the interest and the benefits of how you take care of yourself. And that's the brand. That's the Bernard Hopkins. So, Babe Ruth, 29, 30, whatever he is, he's 10 years, 15, whatever he is, I got 10, 15 years old, a little more. The math is correct. So here, I'm not fighting a guy my age. I'm fighting young guys. I'm fighting guys that can fight, guys that's undefeated, longest stints of amateur career, not new to the game, not going to be camera shock, not going to be light shock, not going to be DC shock. He's coming to push the old man, to make him work, and I'm here to do this. I'm here to show that this is why I'm different. And to show how you're different is to show in a sport that's so physical and so mental, what better place to prove yourself in boxing? I know no other sport, and I'm biased, that I've been a part of, where you can show what you're made of in 36, 37 minutes, or less.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Brandy Miller with the Fight Journal.
Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing?
All right.
Okay. All right, my first question is for Babe Ruth. I wanted to know, you seem that you won your titles very early on in your career, you don't have, as much experience as Bernard. No one really does. But I want to ask you, how do you prepare to fight someone so crafty and with so much experience?
That's a secret. He can't tell you. Right. Right.
Okay, well, could you go in? Well, I guess you won't want to go into your mental preparation. Well, let's talk about, I know you look up to Hopkins. So can you tell me, how long have you been following his career?
Well, I don't know, 4 years.
4 years?
Yes, I'm not just a boxer, but I'm also a boxing fan. So I've always watched all the big names when they fight. Bernard,
right.
Oscar De La Hoya, Roy Jones, Antonio Tarver, Felix Trinidad, Eric Morales, Antonio Barrera, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, all those champions.
Okay. All right, thanks, Shumenov. All right, Bernard, I wanted to ask you, I read recently that you said you were on a knockout drought. Could the fans expect you to try for the knockout for this fight on April 19th?
Well, I sure enough think I tried hard enough. I didn't get it with Karl Marat. And Shumenov is no Karl Marat. No disrespect to Karl Marat. He can fight, different style, different demeanor. But at the end of the day, I see opportunities. I see a lot of opportunities with Shumenov, believe it or not, that I didn't see with Karl Marat. And the styles always make fights. And I know that's an ancient quote, but it's legit and it's real. And I see his style perfect. I couldn't ask for a better style in a matchup. And I don't know what he thinks. It doesn't matter. But he might think the same thing. As he said, he's been studying me since his fight in San Antonio in Texas. So and he's a boxing fan. He mentioned all the names he just mentioned to you, and it shows that again that you can't look at the record and be sidetracked and think this man will have no experience. I would not play that game, but in the same token, I'm looking for a battle. I am looking for a battle. I'm looking for a battle, and when it's all said and done, I want to be raising my hand in victory.
All right. And lastly for you, Bernard, I wanted to ask you, your boxing IQ is just, it has no limit. You're a student of the game. You continue to be a student of the game. I know right now for you, retirement is probably nowhere in your mind right now because you're looking to have bigger fights. But once you do finally decide to hang up your gloves, are you going to look into training fighters because they could use your knowledge, and I think you would help?
No, I think to be honest with you, I respect all the trainers. I respect the trainers of the past, the trainers I had in my life, the trainers I didn't have in my life that played a part in my life. But I think I'd be doing a disservice to the sport of boxing if I stay in around boxing, which I'm looking to be for many, many years. And it won't be physically, of course. I have so much to bring to the table to, again, respecting trainers from all walks of life. To limit myself to be in a corner, or to limit myself away from the big picture in boxing, will be a disservice to my fellow boxers, my fellow boxers is in Pampers right now that's going to be boxers one day. They walk around and 6 months old, a year old, and they walk around in diapers, and they're going to be fighters one day. You know what I mean? Like myself and others. So why not have a venue for them where they can not only be educated first about a sport they get into, and there'll be multiple people that are going to be teachers / trainers and anything else. But I think to do good for boxing, I think I played a role that I've been playing with Go to Boy Promotion for 7 years. I think I play a role in when fighters come up and ask me about certain things, about taking care of their body, living a clean life amongst all the lights and the flash and the glitter and the success. How do you stay focused, disciplined? I think that to be a disservice to keep that away and just tell a person how to throw a jab and a left hook and how to duck punches. I just really see myself limiting myself if I do that. But there are trainers that want to do that 100%, and they should.
Okay. Well, it will be a pleasure for those fighters to have you, and I appreciate the questions. Thank you.
No problem.
our last question comes from Chris Gunzz. Mute off.
Thank you, Beirut. I've been talking to people from your camp, and they told me that they've been instructed by you to keep things quiet. And even today, you're more quiet. You want to keep things under wraps. Is it different than other camps? And why are you going about this camp differently? And why are you being more secretive in this camp? Is it a respect for
which people are you talking?
I tried to call your trainer, Dewey Cooper, and Dewey's been instructed to not talk and keep things quiet.
Dewey, she is not my trainer. She's a part of my team, but I'm also head coach of my team.
And why are you being
runs this whole squad, man? Let's just make it clear. Beirut is his own trainer. He has people. He runs his own show, and he's been successful with it. And that to me, that's unique itself. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people won't take that chance. So I'm not speaking for the man. He can speak for himself. He's a grown man, but you know what I mean. He's successful. Whatever he's doing is working.
Mm-hmm. And they're respecting your what you want. You want things to be more quiet. Why is that though? Is it a respect for Bernard, or is it always that way?
No, it's not being quiet. I just some reporter previously mentioned that I became world champion too soon, and I realized that it was too soon. I wasn't ready actually fighting at that level. And then I changed my approach to the boxing. I became more scientist. I started trying new things. Started trying new things, and all the time, in the end, some exercises, try other new things. So, and it's been always, I don't show to the public.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of exercise, what kind of preparation I do.
You're a private guy, and I respect that. But Bernard, he morphed and he changed into a different fighter over the last 10, 15 years. Anybody would. But what Bernard do you study to prepare for the Hopkins you're going to fight on April 19th?
Great question. What Bernard do you study? Because there's a lot of them.
And he was once an executioner, now he's an alien.
I wanted that question. That was a question you should have gave me.
I'll ask you.
Let Beirut answer.
Listen, you can't train one way. You can't train one way to fight me because I got 20,000 million styles. I mean, which one you want?
What do you say, Beirut?
So no, I cannot talk about all my knowledge about Bernard. So no comments.
Well, go on and answer it, Bernard.
Say that again, buddy?
Go on and answer it. Answer that question. What Bernard should he study for?
I lost count. There's a lot of them. You have to study for. We got to loose people. I mean, you go on YouTube. You can. It's information highway. I mean, you can find out anything about anybody. See what you want to put out there. But the same token, I mean, it's kind of hard to be kind of like an invisible man in the boxing business. I mean, can you imagine that? You kind of, see, people gonna know the style you've been successful with and the style that you are. It's just now knowing how to crack that safe. Now, there's multiple styles I have, and I said it. I don't know, it wasn't with you, but it was the two other callers before you. I've been in the game 1988. I mean, that's almost 3 decades. Obviously, I've seen every style that possibly can see with a short amateur career. I've seen styles over there. I've seen the Russians fight. I've seen different styles, how they hold their hands, how Babu hold his hands, how he fights with the jab out, all that stuff. This ain't giving away no secrets. The plan is everybody has a plan. The famous word quote Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until they get hit. And so the name of anything, of strategy, not telling you this, I'm telling you what you want to hear. I mean, everybody know I don't have a problem having a conversation, so maybe people, Bernard's going to do all the talking, you ask a question, and you ask, and that's it. I understand that game, too. But I don't have a problem telling you, because I want to be here Sunday, the 20th, or Monday, or Tuesday, when Kelly and them set up my media stuff, and I want to be telling you what I said to you 2 weeks ago. That's the boldness of me. Not the bragginess of me, not the show-off. because I'm confident about what I say based on putting the work behind and understanding that I have to live up to those things. But I don't mind being on the edge. Look at my life. Look at my career. This is again, I'm not taking this nonchalant by no means. But haven't I been here multiple times and I haven't got bored to me? Do I feel like I'm bored? So, whatever style it needs to be presented, it's a style that he has to deal with. And for my understanding, I want to put words in a man's mouth. He's ready, and he's studied, and he's prepared for anything that happens, and even doing, or someone else doing, dirty stuff. So I said, okay, fine. I mean, I heard that before, and I've gone in, guy got his elbow on my throat. But it's cool. I ain't going to complain. Do what we do. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, somebody's hands going to get raised, and somebody's going to have to evaluate their career. That's it.
And it's really incredible.
No special thing about it. I've been in the game too long to play games.
Yeah, 1988. I mean, it's really incredible. Ronald Reagan was president. That's insane.
Ronald Reagan was, oh my God. Now you got me thinking old now.
Now, don't feel that way on April 19th. But how is it different now, going through the rigors of training camp than it was, let's say, during the middleweight tournament days when you were?
Everything is knowledge. Knowledge comes with time, and it's management. When you're young, you overdo things a lot, and you get away with it. When you got wisdom and you got understanding for some, you learn how to not, again, overdo things where you rest and save your money, like investing, and you go ahead and you spend it tomorrow. So a lot of things you do when you're young, you get away with it. A lot of things you can't do or you shouldn't do wisely because there's always the next day, there's always next week. And it's the preparation part. Fight time. It's no guessing so necessary. It's not basketball. You can get blown out on Tuesday and blow somebody else out on Thursday or Wednesday. Boxing is not structured like that. So your mindset, is so important at this level of competition for me or anything like that. It's the mindset. The mind controls the body because the body has always been right. And I took care of the temple to be able to have the mind control the body. When your mind is right, everything is going to fall in place. But if your mind right and your body is whack, it's off balance. Life is a balance. And come April 19th on Showtime, you're going to see a balance between a guy with experience, a guy with a good pedigree, but a guy that's in there with someone that have an IQ and a boxing ability and a body that brings it, not the look and the physical part. That's nothing but the physical. But the youth of half his age in the ring with a guy that's 30, 31 years old. It's amazing. It's going to be amazing to y'all. And that's what I need to display, and that's what I will display. I mean, I can, I'd rather show you than I can talk to you. It's better to prove it to you than talk to all day long, but this is part of the business too. You got to talk.
Yeah, it's incredible listening to you talk, and I appreciate this time. I just want to know, do you still have long-term goals, or as we get older, we get more patient? Do you have long-term goals, or do you just take it fight by fight now?
No, I can't take it fight by fight because that's boring. I mean, that's like going to work and don't know if you're going to get fired each day. So my thing is, I always have long-term goals just to stay alive, but they are realistic goals. And I believe the realistic goals compared to the goals you just had is nothing but a dream. There's nothing but something that's just to fool yourself. And then reality comes in when those time go by. You're looking at that date that you got to have things done and it ain't done. You get to now and looking at reality and then you just die. So my thing is, yes, I always got something that's going to move me as long as I live and breathe this air called life in my lungs. So yeah, that's how I operate. That's how I function.
You're incredible, and you were one of my favorites from the USA Tuesday Night Fight days back in like 1994. You've always been one of my favorites. I appreciate your time, and look forward to it.
But do me a favor. Before you say I'm incredible, and I'm not being modest, which April 19th, and then you're going to have another name besides that.
I can't wait. Thank you, Bernard, and thank you, Bebu. Good luck, guys.
Thanks, bye.
Okay, that was our last question. Bruce, are you still on?
Mute on.
Yeah, I'm still here, Bruce.
Okay, do you want to wrap it up?
I'll speak, Bruce. Bye.
That was great. That was a great call. Yeah, I don't have anything to add other than to say, to reiterate what Bernard said at the beginning, which is that these are three potential main events in one night. Another spectacular triple header brought to you by Showtime and Golden Boy, and any chance that we have to showcase the great Bernard Hopkins is always a treat and very special. So I urge everybody to tune in or buy a ticket, and whatever you do, just be with us on April 19th at 9 o'clock Eastern and Pacific. Live.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks Bernard. Thanks Beirut.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks everyone. Okay. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. That concludes today's conference call.